welcome to another FACEHAMMER show, all about Orruk Warclans. And
which ones are we concentrating on today then?
I'm going to talk about the Ironjawz. So I'm actually going to Carnage and been able to take Ironjawz because I've been lent some of the models because mine are still in bits.
And this is your ideal list, and so maybe this isn't exactly what you'll be taking, but this is what your goal would be to be taking. Or do you think you'll manage to?
Oh, I'll be taking this. Yeah,
exactly this. Yeah. Okay, got you.
So this is kind of my first stab at what I would take to a competitive singles event with Ironjawz. Stuff this might change when it hits the wild. There's some stuff in here I've put in just to test it, so it's not stuff I think might be good, but I don't know.
This is still in. You think it's very good, but it's still in research and development.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to make some choices and see how it plays. Then after the event, you probably have some reflection on it. So it's. But anyway, so I'll go through the list. So it's Ironsunz Warclan. And then I've taken the Grand Strategy War, which is kind of a little bit of a renegade choice. The Inspired Triumph, which isn't renegade at all. I've got a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher with a Rip 2 Fist, obviously. He's got the Mighty War Leader, Amulet of Destiny. I'll go through what this stuff does in a minute.
Very renegade so far, Russ.
No. The taking War's pretty renegade. So Mega Boss on Maw Crusher with a Rip 2 Fist, so second one, with the Destroyer, and he's got the Mount trait Fasten, which is a little bit unusual. I think people will probably put it on the main one. Then I've got a War Chanter with the Get 'em Beat, a Weird Knob Shaman with the Great Big Hand, a Mega Boss on foot with the Arcane Tomb artifact, and he's got Bash 'em Lads as a spell.
Love that so much. I just think it's one of my favourite things in the book, and I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes somewhat standard in a load of lists if people have the artifacts free.
Another War Chanter with Killer Beat, 10 Hard Boys, 5 Brutes with Jagged Gore Hackers, which is a little bit renegade, another 5 Brutes with Jagged Gore Hackers, and 4 Iron Skulls Boys. Then I've got Double Warlord. I've got both the Brutes in Hunters of the Halfland because they'll probably be hunting monsters. I've taken the 2 artifacts as my bonuses, and that's the additional Destroyer and the Wizard Hat.
Yeah.
So
Get 'em Beat is the 3d6 charge as well, isn't it? In case
so yeah, I was going to talk about what the stuff does now.
Yep.
So because it's a lot. So basically, the reason I've gone into Ironjawz, obviously because I've got all Ironjawz models, smashing and bashing allows you to fight once you've fought with something if you kill something. That's why I've got Destroyer on one of the Maw Crushers, because you can pop
you want to wipe units out.
Yeah.
Because it's offense is the best defense.
Yeah. And getting +3 damage, and then an extra +1 for a War Chanter, and then an extra rend on a turn where you can deliver him from a very far away by burning Fasten. You can keep him very far back safe, and then on the turn you need him, you can launch him across the board.
It's a missile. So what is his potential move then?
I'll get to that. That's the exciting bit. Let's just
don't want to smack your load. Okay.
No. So I've got Mighty War Leader that basically means if you call the war, you can reroll charges for Ironjawz within 12 of the general. It's like,
that's great.
I wasn't sure. In hindsight, I think touched by the war on the Mega Boss on foot with the Wizard Hat might be a better choice. This is a bit renegade. So it says 4 attempts to cast a spell. So if you don't cast a spell, you don't have to use it. Pick a unit within 6. That doesn't say friendly, it just says a unit. So it could be friendly or enemy. So if you're near the enemy, you can start doing mortal wounds when you cast spells.
If you're near no one, it has to be yourself.
Yes. They take D3 mortal wounds, but you could add the number caused to the casting roll of the spell. If you pick the general to suffer mortal wounds, then they are slain and the spell doesn't go off. So you could use that. You could use it on whoever's got the Wizard Hat. It could be the Maw Crusher, it could be Godfoot, to do damage to your opponent to then cast the Bash 'em Lad spell. And because you've got so many ways to move in the hero phase, you could move then cast. So you could use Fasten to move, then use Mighty Destroyers to move to be free away, then cast Bash 'em Lads, do the damage, then charge.
Not to you.
Yeah.
Got you. No, that's cute. That's super cute.
So it has a ton of potential. I think the Wizard Hat on the Maw Crusher might be a better option. If you know, it's because the Garden Foot's quite slow, but it's a bit niche. It's a one turn type thing, but once you're in amongst their army, you're doing it every turn, right? So it's
yeah. You're not going to be short on targets, and if you are, that means you killed them. So it's all good.
Then Destroyer is once per battle, start the combat phase, add 3 to the damage of the weapon. So just solid. It's just what it is. It's just great. Fasten is once per battle in your hero phase, you can make a normal move, so that's got a combo with Mighty Destroyers. Obviously the great big hand, the big green hand is on a 7, range 12, pick an Orruk unit, wholly within range, move them and more than 3 from enemy, remove them, set them up at 9 inches anywhere, it's teleport. So on the Shaman, it's quite useful because you can pick up the Ard Boys and you can use them. You can do that, then you can Mighty Destroyers, the Maw Crusher that you've just moved across, to hit them with their ability to do multiple units with 1 command point to then charge, so then they don't get to use Unleash Hell because it's in the hero phase, not in the phase. So then once they're within 3, you're then able to charge Maw Crushers in with impunity because they can't shoot because they're in combat. So it's again, there's a combo there. So this is the nuances of the sequencing in the hero phase which makes this strong. Now, the reason I've gone for Ironsunz is you could use this command ability at the end of the enemy charge phase. The unit that receives the command must be a friendly Ironsunz unit within 12 of the enemy unit and 3 inches away from all enemy units. That Ironsunz unit can attempt to charge. So this stops your opponent isolating your units. So having the Mega Boss near the brutes and himself, if someone charged just 1 brute unit, you could potentially use a command point from him. He could pick 2 units, himself and the other brutes, and they could both charge. So suddenly something they wanted to fight 1-on-1 is now 3-on-1.
Yep.
So it's a very strong deterrent for other combat armies that want to isolate a Maw Crusher, isolate a unit or a character. Because every time you see it all the time, they charge and they're just outside of 3, I'm outside of 3. And you're like, cool, well, I'll just charge you then. And then because of the ability from Ironjawz to use a command ability multiple times with the Mega Boss or the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, you can countercharge. So it's
an extremely strong ability. It really, I don't think people realize how strong that is until they play someone, try and lock something out, and then get steamrolled. Do you see CPs being an issue in this? Because there's quite a lot of seductive places to spend them, aren't there?
They are, but they're super efficient because they cost 1 to do it multiple times. So you don't need to spend. You can, but you don't need. But you've also got double Warlord. So you can burn your Warlord +1 command ability when you need them.
Yeah.
So in the hero phase that you're going to do a big combo of Mighty Destroyers and you're going to be doing all this stuff, you could just go, well, I'll just get 2 free command points, and then that basically nets out. So you can plan your turn fairly efficiently. So you've got those. I'll burn it for an extra 1.
The war turn's so important, isn't it? Like, I guess one of the nice things it's got, obviously this is high drop, I don't know what it is, but it'll be like
10,
9 or something. Okay, yeah. If your opponent gives you first, that's way more scary than it would be against most armies, isn't it? Because
you can get to them on turn 1.
Yeah, easy.
So if they give you first,
things.
you go, okay. Because I'll talk about that in a sec. So war is when the battle ends, if your general or a friendly battle line unit is wholly within their territory, you score it. So I've got quite a lot of units. So you want to concentrate on the Maw Crusher, or you're going to kill them all. It might be a mistake, but I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah.
So rather than play Beastmaster or hold the line. It's both units. It just relies on me positioning them into their territory.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see how that plays. It might not be very good.
It's giving it a go.
I just thought, well, let's just see how it plays. I think the problem with it is if you're up, you're probably going to be doing it, and if you're tight game, you probably won't do it, and then that's when you need it.
Yeah, got you.
But that's what it is. So, what I should talk about now is probably the combo of movement and stuff, right? So, your war beats from your war chanter. Okay, so it says he's got the ability which is Violent Fury. In your hero phase, pick a friendly Ironjawz unit wholly within 15, add 1 to the damage until next hero phase. Okay, so you have this kind of sequencing in the hero phase that you can do. So let's me go over to the whiteboard because it's easier to show you rather than to do it. And this is just a example. It's not, So we'll head over to the whiteboard and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we assume this is the table. This is the territory line. We just assume it's normal deployment, whatever. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't make much difference. So you could deploy your Ard boys in the middle or wherever. It doesn't really matter. Shaman, make sure that's within range for the teleport. War Crusher General, who's got the artifact, probably a bit further up, maybe up in your deployment line. Unit of Brutes, Iron Skull boys on one flank. Then you've got the War Crusher with the Destroyer, a War Chanter. You could put the Mega Boss sort of central. Bearing in mind you've got the counter charging if people try and charge you sneakily. And then what you want to do is with the War Chanter, it's your hero phase. Okay, so you can dictate all of this in your hero phase, and you can see what happens before you commit to stuff. So you can attempt the cast with the Ard boys. So say you're playing, I don't know, there's like Sentinels, whatever, like a Lumineth army.
Scary.
Doesn't just could be any like stand and shoot thing. It doesn't have to have shooting. If they've got shooting, this is one way around it. So you get your Ard boys and you teleport them and you put them just outside of 12 of their army if you get it off. Good thing about this, you can be set up outside of unbind range if you want to be. You can also, because if you know they've got good unbinds, you would deploy further back. You can do this first. If it doesn't go off, fine. You can just sit there and not worry and just meander about a bit. If it does go off, you're like, okay, cool. So you just put your men down and you go, right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to burn Fasten to move this Maw Crusher, okay, which has got the Destroyer. That should bring him into range of both of these two units. So then you're going to pop Mighty Destroyer from that Maw Crusher, allowing you to hit all 3 units. So you move your General up. Yeah, your Maw Crusher can move again. And you've got 2 choices with this unit. You could deploy them as close as you can get, 9 away, and try a charge roll. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Or you can
some
move
bonuses
them,
too, as well, haven't you?
a +1 for the banner, so the drummer. You can move them, and they're slightly closer. I think they're movement 5, so yeah. you would be what, probably 7.5 away.
That's one pretty good at odds.
But so because although the teleport says you can't move in the movement phase, you're still in the hero phase, and Mighty Destroyers allows you to move as long as you're not within 12 of the enemy. So you move up. Now what you've done, you're still in your hero phase at this point. So, you've already buffed your +1 damage on both your Maw Crushers at the start as well. So you do that after you see the spell goes off. So they're all +1 damage. Okay, right, you've done your Fasten, you've done Mighty Destroyers. Now you're into your normal turn, so you can move. You can't move the Ard boys, but you can move the Maw Crushers, so you can move your General into a better position. You can move the other guy wherever you want to get, so you can basically put where you want. Because effectively you've moved one Maw Crusher 36 inches, the other one 24 inches. So you're going to be pretty much where you want to be. You call the War, you do your charges. You're getting +2 on the Ard boys with a reroll because you've got the Mighty War Leader. If you get them in, you try and tag the shooters. They have to make the choice: do they shoot them or do they not shoot them? If they don't shoot them, then great, and then you can charge.
Easy.
The other thing you could do as well, because of redeploy, because of faster and mighty destroyers, if you don't want to move in the movement phase, just so they don't trigger redeploy, you can just stand still. Depends on where they've deployed. So if you don't want them to move away from you, you just stand still.
If they've not got space behind them, don't have to worry about it. If they do, then you can work around it.
Yeah, and then you can use the other Maw Crusher to go somewhere else if you want. Then if they do redeploy from that Maw Crusher, you could go back and move the other Maw Crusher, so you could do a bit of mind games with it. But basically, you charge the Ard Boys in, tag the unit that can shoot. They have to unleash hell on them. If they don't, they can't do it anymore. Then you charge both in. You pop Destroyer on the Maw Crusher that's gone in. Probably raw whatever you're fighting if you can to stop them using command abilities. You go with all its attacks. You should delete something.
1 more damage, 1 more rend. Sorry, 4 more damage on his.
Yeah, damage 6. Damage 6 on his the guy on the back. If you delete whatever you fight, what you can do as well with the Mega Boss on foot, you can try and class bash 'em lads and running up the table. He probably won't be in range, but it doesn't matter. You're probably better off Mystic shielding the Destroyer Mega Boss before you do it. So there's some play on the spells. So you could Mystic shield the guy instead, whatever. So when you deploy, you
always
want to make
bash
sure
him, then use a 6 if it goes off, and if it doesn't, then don't.
there's options in there. So the key point really is that you can do your buffs in a sequence to see what happens. So you don't have to do anything at the start. It's all sequenceable. So you can start
you don't
with
commit everything to one unit that then you fail a teleport spell on or something like that.
Yeah. So you can do the teleport first to give you the information. If it doesn't go off, you've not committed anywhere because you've not moved out your deployment zone. You've not burnt any once per game things. And you could just go, cool, I'll just wiggle about a bit, give up, not do much, buff, whatever, give them the turn, And also like the War Chanter can probably get the 3d6 charge on a unit or something as well, depending on what you're doing. So if you can get the War Chanter in range of the Ard Boys to give them 3d6 charge, even better. So like there's lots of play around, there's lots of ranges. It's quite difficult. It requires a bit of planning, but if you set it up, that's the sort of options you could do against shooting. Obviously it's just a lot easier if they don't have that and you don't have to worry about that, but you can just literally dictate where you want to go.
Well, you'd be rubbing your hands against most majority melee armies with this, right? So it's not, not presenting complicated skinky things or anything weird like that. You're going to be like, you're probably the paper to their rock in that situation, aren't you? You're just going to envelop them and kill them.
Yeah, and you can do stuff like, I've charged in this gap, and I've charged my thing here, and I made sure I'm 3 away here. Yeah, cool. I'll pop Ironsunz, they'll charge you, and the Mega Boss will charge you, whatever. So you just counter charge 3 units and go, cool. I'll hit you with all 3. So it's like, and then you can pop all out defense on whatever he hits, and then you could pop all out attack on the other 3 units for 1 command point if he's not hit them. So it allows you to be quite cunning. If you put both Maw Crushers into one giant, you probably would kill it with Destroyer, depending on.
I worried you about being hit back.
Not. Giants don't do an awful lot. The only one you care about is a breaker.
Yeah.
They're not that. They don't do a lot of damage, especially takers. No, yeah. I think people worry far too much about their output, and it's not very good unless you've got a breaker. So
against a single resilient target, it's preferable. I've had Sigvald survive, because he was on a hill against giants and stuff like
anyone
that.
With a decent save, like the 5-up ward, 2-up armor save, Maw Crusher with 18 wounds, whatever it is fine.
Fine. Yeah.
He's not gonna kill it in a round. I did it at 1,000 points. When I played James, he was very, very worried about my taker giants, and I was like, you should have just gone in, not care. So yeah, I mean, it's all about that shock and awe turn. The good thing about that turn is you can deliver that from deep. You don't need to commit your army. You don't have to move into position in the middle of the table and then get the turn roll to do it. Like a lot of combat armies, you need to go, I move up, I got the double, now I can do it. This army,
and if you didn't move up enough, you don't have the options you wanted. Whereas this one, as long as something's within 40 inches, you or whatever it is, you're kind of happy.
And what you do is you use the Destroyer Maw Crusher to trigger smashing and bashing for the key turn.
Yeah.
So the reason he's got fasten is to sit right the way back.
Yeah, and then of course those more crushers, because of whatever the rule is called, they're going to be gaining a damage and a wound each turn. So if they've wiped something out, they just got more resilient and more hitty, which is great.
Yeah, and what's good as well is if they get close to you, you can literally use fasten and then the Mighty Destroyer to charge, and they can't unleash hell, redeploy, nothing. So they don't even, you don't even care. So what you can do as well, you could even teleport the fasten Maw Crusher, put him 13 inches away, move him with fasten 3 inches away, then use Mighty Destroyers and roll a charge.
Yeah.
And you've done that completely in the hero phase.
1 CP and 1 spell.
And they can't unleash hell, they can't redeploy.
It's really useful. It's a big deal, isn't it? Especially at top level play. That's the type of those CP uses of where people are gonna, they're gonna eke out their victories, and it's not doable.
No. And then you're basically there and you're
Mashing and bashing.
And then what that allows you to do then is with your other army, you could be really aggressive because they can't stand and shoot. So you can, because you're already pinned. So you can go. So it doesn't have to be a shooting army, but it's just an example. The flexibility you've got in the sequencing of movement. The key bit is just make sure the buffs are in range of what you want to be doing. So if you want to
well, otherwise you're going to be really upset.
It's like if you want to
I'm 12.5 inches away from this.
Yeah. So if you want to green hand the destroyer guy, you're probably going to have to make sure the shaman's in a position to hit both things in range. But if you're going to green hand the yard boys, so reading the table and going, what have they actually got in their list? So green handing the yard boys is and the reason I've reinforced my yard boys is I don't want cruel boy players putting them off the table with their dirty tricks.
Yeah.
So
also it's a bit like they can go and do an all right job in way far off. If you wanted to commit, you could give them +1 save from Mystic Shield and then just send them off or something like that. And then people have to deal with 10 hard boys. They're not bad.
No, they're great. They're more than solid. 10 hard boys with Mystic Shield and all out defense are not easy to shift.
And you've got if they're close to your war chanter, you've got your tasty rally, haven't you? As well,
on a 4+. Yeah.
Which is going to upset some people.
And again, what's good about Mighty Destroyers is you can move into range to rally the unit.
Oh, of course.
Or move them, so if your war chanter's a little bit out of range, it's a bit far behind.
Shuffle them back even.
If they're close to the enemy, you can't.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to charge or whatever. But yeah, you could move into range, or if the enemy's not near you, then yeah, you could. But you could move both units together if you ended up with.
It's an army with 2 movement phases, isn't it? Essentially, that's its power. Is it's got 2 movement phases, and one of them isn't interactive for your opponent.
As long as the mega bosses are alive, you're all right. Hence, I've got 3 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you backed yourself there.
Yeah, the shaman's a little bit not sure, but I like the threat of the teleport, because when your opponent's playing, they've got to think about what if it goes off. What if it goes off?
You can just put 5 brutes way over somewhere before a turn roll and next to something squishy, or something not even that squishy because they hit pretty hard. They're a great option.
Yeah, and you can literally deploy the little bubble of Ard Boys, War Chanter, and Shaman in a corner, and then put the rest of the stuff in a line, like the Brute, Iron Skull Boys with the Mega Boss, and then the other Maw Crusher, 2 separate blobs.
It's wide open. You could if you're against the wrong type of list, you could just deploy like this.
Yeah, you could
have
deploy
complete game here, there, anywhere
in 2 corners.
Yeah,
as long as your Maw Crusher's kind of here. Then you'd have your Ard Boys, Shaman, War Chanter there. Then you'd probably have your Brute, Mega Boss, War Chanter, Iron Skull Boys, whatever. Then you're I can move all 3 of those units, or I can use the Mega Boss for 2, or I could move these, or I can teleport the Maw Crusher, and then these guys could just move up, and then next turn teleport the Ard Boys, whatever. There's so many options with what you're doing.
It's against Gargants too, right? It's actually got game against them.
Yeah,
more
I
than
think
most melee lists.
you can delete a Gargant. I don't know how easy it is against 4 megas. It might be difficult. It depends how much you lose. How do you go through the game? How much you can actually like burn them down? But if you can kill 2 megas, which I think is possible,
Be particularly painful leaving one alive and 1 wound and not getting to smash and bash, wouldn't it? Like there's going to be some big swings.
That's the difficulty. That's the bit that really sucks. I don't think you'll kill it in a 1-er. I think you need to put 2 more crushers into 1 to kill it.
Yeah,
like reliably. And then it might be the case that you do that, and then you know, the good thing is when they countercharge you, do 1 giant on 1 more crusher, you can then pop Ironsunz, charge the other more crusher in.
Yep.
So they're still fighting 2 more crushers every time. You just keep them as a blob, and whatever they want to charge, they're going to fight multiple units at the same time. They're never going to be facing you 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Because of the efficiency of the Ironsunz countercharging.
It's so hard. Like I don't. Obviously, Slanesh isn't strong, but one of the ways that I have to win with Slanesh is, you know, being as awkward as possible and catching people on flanks or things like this, or, you know, like leaving some stuff out, stopping it from piling in. And I don't think I would have anything that I could do against someone playing well with this army.
Yeah, it just is so much control over the movement phase.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Positioning, charge phase control. It's just got so many tricks. I think it's really good. So that's what I'm taking. So hopefully I'll put it into practice and see how I get on. And I'll after the weekend when I've done like lost 3 games, I can be like, it's just too techy. It doesn't work.
You could teach some deployment pictures. I think that would be super interesting for people.
Well, I will do what I did like
turn pictures.
last time. Take photos and we'll do a show and we'll show you like how it played and stuff. So that's the theory. I've not actually played with it yet, so we'll see.
Cool.
But yeah, I just thought I'd do a little show talking about the list and what it does and how it works, because it's quite technical. So
absolutely. Well, hopefully we don't play each other, because I'd be absolutely fucked.
I owe you one, so. But yeah, so that's the Ironjawz list I'm taking. I'm pretty excited about playing with it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's got a lot of game. There's a lot of little things I might change, but I want to test out some stuff. So I'm sure that Flaming Weapon is better than Basham Lads, but you know,
we'll see. I think you're going to come back so spaffy on your damage turns that you want like 2 allied fungoid shamans in there or something, so you can just wipe people in a 1-er.
Yeah, maybe. The fungoid as an ally is an interesting one. Like he's a good option.
Just about cheap enough to be worth it.
He's 95 points, so like he's only 5 points more than the weird knob, but you lose the access to the spell. It's a goblin, like it doesn't really fit. It doesn't yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's the Ironjawz list. So
amazing.
We'll see how we get on. But looking forward to it. But if you have any comments below or any questions, or tell me that I'm wrong or why it sucks, then let me know. If you like the video, like and all that stuff. And we'll be doing a Crawl Boys list next, so stay tuned.
Let's go. More Orky goodness coming up.
Exactly.